Shalom Alechem. Welcome Shabbat together.
You might recognize this melody from last week, and if not, I hope you enjoy. It's a special melody from the Tunisian tradition, and I personally love it, and I hope that you do too. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Lishalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Lishalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem Lishalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mimelech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. We take a moment to breathe out the week that was, to let it go, to welcome the rest, the peace, the shleimut, completion of Shabbat, that spirit of wholeness and tranquility, and we say the blessing for the Sabbath candles.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechad likneh shel Shabbat.
Amen, amen. We turn to page 12 in our Sidorim, our prayer books, and we sing Lechu Naranana, come rejoice with us.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya letzur yisheinu. Lechu neranena השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, לפני אדוני קיווה, קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו.
We sing Romemu, come exalt Adonai our God. We're on page 17 at the very bottom, Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. We turn to the words Lecha Dodi, page 20, as we welcome the Sabbath bride officially into Shul. Dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet ve'litchila. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסולחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. התעוררי כי באורך, קומי אורי, 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 שיר דבר לי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה, ובצוהלה תוך אמוני הסגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. lecha dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ay 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 Now it's starting to feel a little bit like Shabbat. Take a minute to say Shabbat Shalom to somebody in the sanctuary. Hug a loved one at home. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with the Psalms for Shabbat. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. It's Psalm 92 on page 22.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וחינוך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מה גדלו מעשיך מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך.
Shabbat Shalom. I want to share a story with you tonight, and it's about going into a cave and coming out of a cave and going back into a cave and coming out of a cave again. We say from the book of Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun, and I think this story can show you that. Of course, when I say those words about going in and out of a cave, many of us think about our lives these past couple of years with coronavirus, back in the house, out of the house, back in the house, out of the house, and all of the tries and retries that we are forced to maneuver these days. But a cave can also be a metaphor for an emotional experience. You're out of it, you're back in it. You're out of it, you're back in it. Or a metaphor for a number of human experiences. So for this story, you need to know a couple things. First of all, you need to know what a carob is. C-A-R-O-B. It's a food, okay, that people would eat in antiquity that grew on a tree. And you also need to know the two main characters, Rabbi Shimon ben Bar Yochai and his son, Eliezer. Okay, this is the story. Shimon Bar Yochai and his son sat across from each other on the floor of their cave. They were banished to this cave because they spoke out against the Roman emperor. They were supposed to be eating lunch, but Rabbi Shimon, as always, was studying. Carob stick? Eliezer asked, breaking the long silence. No, thank you, his father answered. Eliezer let a moment pass. Mashed carob? No, thank you, his father answered. Some carob juice, then. Eliezer couldn't help but smile. Rabbi Shimon, his father, looked annoyed. Don't try to be funny, Eliezer. Has it occurred to you that maybe I, too, miss eating something other than carob, day in and day out for 11 years? But, Father, don't you think the emperor might have forgiven you by now? Eliezer asked. Can't we go home now? I miss my mother. I miss home. I miss food. I know, son, Rabbi Shimon said quietly, but no one speaks out against the Roman emperor and goes unpunished. God gave us this safe place to hide, this carob tree, and even a spring of water. Without these miracles, we wouldn't be alive today. So I will continue to devote my life to being grateful and praying and studying for as long as God grants me the privilege of doing so. And you should be grateful too. Rabbi Shimon paused to catch his breath, and then he added more gently, "Now, son, let's not talk like this anymore. It's time to rest and be glad. We still have a drop of wine left to greet Shabbat. And after all, what is Shabbat without wine?" He smiled for the first time in what felt like a really long time. And so they spent their days eating carob, praying, studying in the mornings, and telling stories at night. Only once a year did they receive visitors, when Rabbi Shimon's students came, disguised as hunters, although the only thing they were really hunting for was learning. While the students drank in Rabbi Shimon's wisdom, Eliezer devoured the actual wine and bread they had brought along. And even more than food, he hungered for news of the outside world, but not his father. Apart from asking about his own family, Rabbi Shimon did not seem to care a bit about the rest of the world. If something did not concern study or prayer to him, it never even existed. One morning, while it was still dark, Eliezer was startled out of his sleep by the sound of footsteps. Couldn't be the students back so soon. "Father, did you hear that?" he whispered. Rabbi Shimon nodded. "Who's there?" he said nervously. But there was no answer, and the footsteps stopped at the edge of the cave. Finally, an old man came and stepped inside and spoke. "I've come to tell Shimon Bar Yochai that the emperor is dead," the man said in a deep voice. "You are free to leave your cave and return home." Eliezer stared at the man for a moment. Then he jumped up from under his blanket and began to sing and dance for joy. His father, however, didn't move. "Who are you?" he asked the man. "Someday you'll know," the man said simply, and then he turned and left. Eliezer was ready to leave the cave that instant, but Rabbi Shimon did not rush. First, he said his prayers. Then he packed up his holy books and a bit of carob. Finally, he took his first steps outside the cave in 11 years. At first, it was all too much. The blinding sun, the wide open spaces, even the gentle whistling of the birds was more than he could bear. While Eliezer ran ahead picking wild berries, his father held tight to his little bag of carob. Despite his own delight at being out of the cave, Eliezer soon saw that everything here was a distraction and a bother to his father. Even the farmers lying idly in the fields, laughing and eating lunch, annoyed him. "Look at them, Eliezer," Rabbi Shimon grumbled. "This is how they choose to use their freedom, thinking only about feeding their bellies. They care nothing about feeding their minds. Why they could be spending their days studying God's holy words, and they wouldn't even have to hide in a cave to do it." "Perhaps they would, if only God sent them carob too," Eliezer answered. But then, who would grow food for all the rest of the people? His father did not seem to hear him. Rabbi Shimon walked on, looked disapprovingly at everyone, from the shepherds resting by a well to the merchants on their way to market. The more he saw, the angrier he got, until it seemed that his look alone would set the world on fire. Just then, the old man appeared on the road in front of them and spoke harshly in his deep voice. "It seems that Shimon Bar Yochai is not ready to leave the cave after all. He needs to remember how to appreciate everything that God created. He needs to return to his cave for another year and study how to live in this world." Now it was Eliezer's turn to be the teacher, while his father was the student. For the next year, there was much to teach. He brought Rabbi Shimon figs and dates so that his father could learn to savor the tastes he had forgotten. After they stood on a nearby hillside to watch sheep grazing, Eliezer brought a blanket made of their wool to the cave to keep his father warm. And every Friday, Eliezer brought wine in the nearest village so that they could properly welcome Shabbat. Finally, it was time to try again and to leave the cave again. As they set out, Rabbi Shimon took a deep breath of fresh air. This time, he praised the trees, the farms, and the animals on the way. This time, he stopped to talk to the same laughing farmers out in the field. "You there," Rabbi Shimon called to them. "What are you working at? Please, tell me how this makes you happy." The men looked up, startled. "We're harvesting." "Of course," one of them answered, holding out a big cluster of sun-warmed purple grapes. Who wouldn't be happy with grapes like these? "And don't forget," the other farmer added, "when they get turned into wine, they will make you even happier." And both farmers started laughing again. As Rabbi Shimon bit into one of the grapes, a smile spread slowly across his lips. "That's right," he told Eliezer. "And what is Shabbat without wine?" As we navigate our own coming out of the cave, going back in, I think that we both have elements of Rabbi Shimon and Eliezer in us. May we be patient with ourselves. May we be compassionate to others. And may we recognize the blessings of Sabbath wine. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to the Baruch Hu, page 28. Please rise.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah potech she'arim, u'bitbuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Borayom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn to page 40 as we sing Mi Chamocha, our song of redemption.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד הזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל ותחי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל ותחי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We're on page 46. Please rise for the Amidah.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue with silent prayer.
את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We turn now to our Mishaberach prayer, and tonight, as in many of the weeks past, I hold so many in our community in my heart and in my prayers as we offer these words of healing of the body and the mind, the soul. If you'd like to make a Mishaberach for someone today, please share their name. Mishaberach Avotinu ve'imotinu, Avraham, Yitzhak ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel ve'Leah, Hu yivarech et hacholim. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And together we say, Amen.
Mishaberach Avotinu מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We pause now for a moment of joy, for smachot, happy things. And this is a time where we allow those in the congregation, and I hope those of you in our virtual congregation will participate with us as well in sharing something good that happened this week. Something small, something big, something in between. Does anyone have something they'd like to share with us tonight?
I'll share something. It's my partner's niece's first birthday, or it was her first birthday, and so we did a little Zoom birthday party, and she had cake all over her face, and it was just the most delightful way to spend a Wednesday afternoon for 15 minutes.
Lifts you up.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. We continue our service with Aleinu, page 282. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת עדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we approach Kaddish, we think of those who are gathered with us through the blessings of memory. We recognize those whom we've lost recently or at this time in years gone by. We mourn the passing of Russell Lees, Ted Horowitz, Helen Jansen, Lee Brosgol, Trudy Kaplan, James Aragona, Bunny Zimmer, Gladys Schuker, Robert Friedman, Bernice Shore, Dan Francescan, Robert Carr, Jack Milstein, David Schlanger, Marilyn Berliner, and Trudy Owett. We observe the yahrzeits for Marilyn Klinghoffer, Ruth Katz, Ruth Bernholtz, Simon Tamney, Jerome Kaplan, Sylvia Kaplan, and Sidel Jordan. Are there additional names at this time? We rise for Kaddish in solidarity. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomachon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha barichu. La'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim alinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom v'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom alinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen.
Ose shalom b'imromav, uya'aseh shalom, alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Amen. Please be seated, and we welcome our co-presidents, Jill Wilkinson and Fred Bash, to the bima for announcements.
Please.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, Student Cantor Emma, and Dan, as always. What's that?
So one more year.
One more year, then it can just be Cantor Emma. And Dan, of course, thank you. And thank you all for being here. And for those that are live streaming, I always forget the microphone. Sorry. Just a few announcements. We actually have a really busy month coming up. So lots going on here. Well, tomorrow we're holding a Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Shabbat at 10 a.m. over Zoom. And then I guess it would help if I put my glasses on. We have the book club. There's a discussion coming up on the 10th. The book is Madam, the biography of Polly Adler, icon of the Jazz Age. And the discussion is on March 10th, which is then followed by the Jazz Shabbat scheduled for March 11th, which is really cool that we're bringing the Jazz Shabbat back, so very excited about that. And then we have the Purim Spiel on March 16th, so that'll be really cool in person. And for those of you who are interested, Funny Girl, we have a whole VT, Village Temple group, going to see Funny Girl on Broadway. If you're interested, you can contact Liat for tickets. And as always, we have our Social Action Committee, who's always very busy, giving back, and if you'd like to participate and be part of it, do reach out to Rachel Glooby. So with that, I will say Shabbat Shalom and turn to Fred.
Shabbat Shalom. Just two notes. One is I believe the Purim reading and spiel is at 6 p.m. and not the standard 6:30. So when you rush in through the door, make sure you're coming at the right time on the 16th of March. For those of you who love the interior of this sanctuary, we recently replaced the chairs. But if you have an emotional attachment to the carpet or the way this place is painted, You should come next week because very soon it's going to look different. And I wouldn't want you to miss one last opportunity to say goodbye to this carpet. And yeah, it could be emotional, but anyway, come and check it out. We have new carpet, and we're going to paint. And eventually we're going to do something with the lights as well. Changes for the social hall are coming as well, but I'll save that for another evening. Shabbat Shalom.
I'll have to start thinking of a good Torah verse to say goodbye to carpet. Nothing comes to mind right now for some reason. We close our service with words of blessing from the book of Numbers. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. 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 יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Ve'imru amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.